So recently I was talking with some friends of mine, and we got into this conversation about money and finances and whatnot. Um, we've all been in those positions where we've kind of struggled financially, right? Um, and in this conversation, one of my friends made this comment that money made them feel abundant, and because they felt like it gave them freedom. And I was curious, so I let them keep talking because I wanted to hear where they were coming from. I wanted to kind of understand what I thought I knew exactly what they were saying, um, and I wanted to kind of understand more. So I listened and I let them speak. And sure enough, exactly what I thought was that this freedom they were talking about was on a surface level. Um, this was not on a soul level. This was on a surface level, and which is part of what we see in society and in our world today is everything is on this surface level and nobody's digging deeper onto this soul level. And so my friend stated, that by having a lot of money made them feel like they were abundant, and it made them feel like they had freedom. Freedom being that they didn't have to stress about money. They could go and buy whatever they wanted. They could go wherever they wanted to go. The money did not hold them back at all. And while that makes sense, and I do understand what they're saying as far as that goes, that's freedom being in a material world. That's freedom being on a surface level. But it's not freedom of the soul. Freedom of the soul does not need any money. Freedom of a soul is feeling that fulfillment in just being alive. You don't feel that need to have that dependency and that value on material items or monetary values. It just doesn't matter. It's not important to you. So for me, having an abundance of money, having lots of money, does not make me feel free. It makes me feel imprisoned, the complete opposite, because I feel like then I am dependent on this money. My life is valued by money. And that is what money makes me feel like. Like I can't acquire anything and I can't do anything unless I have money. And I don't like that feeling. So it makes me feel like I'm imprisoned. And I'm imprisoned by something that I should have complete control over, and yet we don't have control over. It's really kind of messed up, if you ask me. I have been in situations where I've had lots of money, where somebody could come up to me at any given time and say, let's go do this. And that thing that they want to do costs a few $100s, and that's pocket change. It's nothing to me. I can go ahead and just, yeah, let's go, But I've also lived where I've had nothing. I've lived in my car with a duffel bag and my cat. And I've lived, like that, where I've gotten my food from fast food restaurants before they're going to close for the night. So anything that they were going to throw out, that's what I got to eat. And I've lived like that before. So coming from where I've experienced both sides of the spectrum, when it comes down to money, I'd rather have less than more. Because even though money can be physically comforting, it's not comforting on a soul level. It takes more than that. When I've had all of that money, I found myself searching for more material items. I wanted more stuff. And nothing felt fulfilling. I just always wanted more. There was, nothing had enough value to me. Sure, I was glad, I was happy I could just go do this or go buy this, but it was a temporary happiness. It wasn't a happiness on a soul level. But on the other hand, when I didn't have much money at all, my life was much simpler. I was very grateful for the little things that I had, and I was very grateful for every day that I woke up, to see the sun again. My life had so much more meaning to it with less money than what it did when I had all the money. And so for me, it was the complete opposite. And I like to ask people, I like to ask clients especially ones that are coming for toe reading, because there's a toe that is all about abundance and prosperity. And so when I get to that toe, if you've ever had a reading from me, you probably remember me asking you, what does abundance mean to you? And the reason I ask that is because in this situation that I'm talking about, explains a lot of how abundance can it means so much different. There's such a difference in what it means for each person. Everybody has a different meaning for it. For me, abundance is a soul fulfillment, and prosperity is that physical and that material fulfillment. And for other people, prosperity and abundance are like the exact same thing. Like, they just don't mean any different. And I don't like to say that people are wrong, but in taking one of my courses, this entire 6-week course was all about abundance and prosperity. It was all about figuring out the difference between the two. This was 6 weeks to figure that out. It was a pretty in-depth course on abundance and prosperity. And the one thing that I learned that I didn't even actually learn. It was more of a clarity. It was more of validation, because it's what I always thought anyway. But what that validation was for myself was that, yes, abundance was entirely different than prosperity. They go hand in hand, but they're two totally different things. That abundance really is a fulfillment on a deeper soul level. So you can be incredibly abundant and have no physical possessions at all. And you can feel prosperous and not have that abundance, that soul fulfillment. So you can have one without the other, but they also, it balances out a lot better if you have a little bit of both. But the key is finding that happy medium. See, for me, if I had to choose between either having prosperity or having abundance, and my definition of abundance and prosperity, if I had to choose between a soul fulfillment or a material physical fulfillment, I would choose a soul fulfillment. Okay, I'd rather live in the streets and have no material possessions, but have my soul feel fulfilled and have my life feel meaningful than I would to live in some extravagant house somewhere with lots of money but feel empty on the inside and feel like my life was just meaningless. So there's a big difference between the two in my eyes. And what I see, and the problem that I see a lot in society, is that people don't understand the difference between abundance and prosperity. To them, abundance is prosperity, and prosperity is abundance. And that's just not true. Like I said, I don't like to say that people are wrong, but that is one thing that is wrong. Abundance is not prosperity, and prosperity is not abundance. They're very similar, and they can be confusing to kind of determine which is which. But a way to do that is, when you close your eyes and you think about your life as being abundant, what comes to mind? And when you think about your life as being prosperous, what comes to mind? They should be different. If they're not different, then you don't understand the difference between abundance and prosperity. Because when they say money is the root of all evil, there's people that'll disagree with me, but yeah, I believe it is. Maybe not all evil, but it's not exactly what we should be searching for in our lives. It shouldn't have as much value and control over us as it does. I don't feel like our life should be dictated on what we can and cannot do based on how much money we have. Our reputations should not be dictated on how much money we have. We should not have to be able to, we shouldn't have to choose whether we can survive and live happily based on how much money we have. I don't think that's right. If I had my way, we wouldn't have money. We'd go back to just trading with people. Like, we'd trade our goods and services with each other. You need a sack of potatoes? Cool, I got you. I'd do some Reiki for you. Like, I would, something like that, man. Because, man, the value and the meaning, you're giving from the heart when you're doing something like that. If we went back to those times of trade, our goods, our services, they'd be being given from the heart. And instead, so often, our goods and services are only being given with this backup, with this chain, this heavy chain with money attached. And that's what it is. And it's, it's sad because at the same time, we've lost so much control over that money does dictate our survival, and we can't live freely without it. And that's what's sad. We can't do services with people for free. We have to take money in order to survive. And the goods that we provide, we have to sell them. We can't just give them all the time. We have to sell them because we use those to survive. And to me, that's just sad. It really has become sad. Money is something that I have battled with since I started Soulscape, since I started my business. It's been the hardest thing for me has been to actually accept money from clients. And I know I have to, because my time is valuable, my knowledge is valuable, my services are valuable. And if I'm making time to be there for other people, I'm taking time away from myself and my family in order to be there for these other people, to help them. And because of that, I have to have some form of energy exchange. And since this is also my business and my job, I have to be making some kind of money to help support myself and my family and my business so that I can keep providing the services. And I wish it didn't have to be like that. I wish that money didn't have that control. I wish that instead, I could give my services to somebody and in exchange they could pay me with a plant or something, or some freshly baked bread. I'd be cool with that, but unfortunately that doesn't take care of my family. I take care of a little bit of their basic needs, their food needs if you give me bread, but it's not paying my bills, it's not taking care of some of those other things. And it's sad that the world has come to that, to where money has such a ruling over us that we literally can't survive without it. And we've allowed that to happen over time. And sadly, we've gotten to a point now to where you have some people like myself that, we don't want all of this money anymore. Like, we're happy having just a little bit, having enough to survive, maybe a little extra here and there to go take our family somewhere and do something fun. But when it comes down to it, we're okay with not having a lot of money and just living simply. But then at the same time, you have other people who are not okay with that. They don't know how they would live if they had to live simply. They want money. They thrive off of having money. That makes them feel worth something to the world if they have a lot of money. And I think that's sad. And honestly, I don't know how we would ever be able to get away from this hold that money has on us. I don't know. Maybe years from now, maybe it'll happen and money just will lose its value and its place. I don't think that I will be here in this physical body to actually witness and see that. I think it'll be a long time from now before that happens. But I do hope that one day maybe it does. That maybe money will lose its value and its place, and people will start to discover the true meaning of being abundant, and that will be what leads us and what guides us instead of that monetary value.